guys. I can talk for hours, and I probably cornered some of you in the past. You still might remember that. So yes, it was not only myself, but it was also Amy Macy and Elizabeth Kozarek, other parents in town, and involved with a lot of things, which I think at that time we had already made the fish with the kids in the class, and that had something to do with a PTO fundraiser. And basically, the grant was, all right, so what are we going to do with this great sculpture, this great idea that we have? And so Beth told me that Amy had this idea to go national tour, and I knew that that was something, you know, we could actually pull off because Amy was behind that, and Beth was there, and I was there. It just seemed like a perfect trio to get it done. So it's been really a life-changing journey for me so far. I mean, this is still something that has gone on all these years, even after the first year. So I wasn't sure if I was supposed to just present on the grant in the one-year block that we were given. So I'm going to go with that and maybe hint at sort of where it's been since then. So let's see where we're at here. Oh, there. Okay. So yes, it was approved in spring of 2011. It was implemented 11-12 school year at A.W. Cox. As was mentioned, I did 17 years at elementary, and now I'm in my fourth year at Baldwin Middle School, grades 5 and 6. So yes, the fish itself, and I'll forward it to the little picture there, that was at the Guilford Fair after it returned from its national tour. Student-made interactive sculpture. It's interactive, meaning that it carries with it a sort of a research component. Wherever it had visited host schools, those schools were encouraged to participate in a give and take with certain components that we had set up. There was a pledge scroll, it's kind of curled up there. There was plastic bottles stuffed in a mouth that was filled with student comments about the project and about the issue. Little small Chinese fortune cookie size notes that were stuffed in there. So that was kind of a cumulative thing as it toured schools in 7 states. I can go to those states, I think I have the map. Yes. So we cooked up this map to kind of show the wild travels. And I have to read this because I can never remember what it says, but some words I like to look up, and one was odyssey. And it truly has been an odyssey, and I kind of chuckled when I read this. A long wandering or voyage, usually marked by many changes of fortune. So I love that part. Yes, there were many changes of fortune, like it being in Ohio, and we knew it might be going to Colorado or Texas, but we didn't know where it was going after that. So we were always on the phone, always sending emails, begging, pleading people, sniffing out connections, and it just sort of organically went, and it was an amazing year, and it was always these like monthly cliffhangers over where it was going and how we get there, and it just worked out. Let's see. So the collaborative research opportunities through the host schools, the research tasks that they were given, basically they would get the fish, they would display it at their school. Different teachers would do different things with it. Some of them would take them outdoors to different places, do a little cleanup of a river or something, or have a library talk about it, have the kids do the activities. The given research components were if, there was, try to describe if there's any issues near your school about having to do with pollution, if there was litter in a particular area that might have been a problem. The other one was, how does water get from your school area to the ocean? So whether you're on the coast or whether you're inland, the watershed brings the water to an ocean at some point eventually. So there's a lot of other disciplines involved. Maybe I can go back to that, but these are some little highlights from different parts of the trip. This was priceless. Front page news on Molokai. I'll go back to those. I think I might have gotten ahead of myself here. But it all worked out. The fish came back to Cox School. There was a send-off here. Let me go back. So up in the upper corner, that was our school assembly, and we had on the screen a school in Ohio. Beth's sister's administrator at an elementary school in Ohio, and we set up this Skype assembly, and it was kind of like a pep rally to send off the fish, and it was nice. And, you know, the kids kind of carted it away in its big crate, and we stuffed it into the FedEx truck, and away it went. And we didn't see it again for a long, long time. We got pictures once in a while from where it was. So it was kind of this Flat Stanley weird thing that we would get, you know, feedback in Skypes and things. Sometimes the technology wouldn't work, but it worked really well from Hawaii, of all places. We had the clearest Skype, so I don't know how that worked. But they were Skyping in the morning when they got there, and we were Skyping with them as we were leaving because there was a 6-hour difference, so that was cool. It's so hard to keep this short, and I apologize if I run over, but each place that it visited had so much to contribute, and it was something that I remember when it finally came back, and we were already kind of thinking, all right, well, what's next? Where's this going to go? And the kids that were in the younger grades are like, oh, what are we going to make? So we made sea turtles in consecutive years after that at the 2 elementary schools I was at, and they are doing their own traveling, and they have their own purpose. If I get cut short here, I'm not sure how much time we do have. We have the websites. Sea of No Plastic is sort of the main hub. The Rakefish is one facet of all these other things that are going on with Sea of No Plastic. So seaofnoplastic.org is a kind of a one-stop for that, and it links out to the Rakefish's dedicated website. Let's see if I can go back to. Okay, so I mentioned that stuff. Oh, and I can't forget to mention the Guilford Free Library Summer Reading Program 2012. It came back, and Amy had it all set up. I think Beth helped with that. I didn't help with that, but that was just awesome. It sort of was like a game. They had stuff set up. The kids were involved. And I think that was the first year they had over 700 kids signed up for the summer reading program. So I was very proud to be some small part of that. And I'm not sure, I have to check with those ladies to see if they ever got more than that, or if, I guess it doesn't matter. It's just kind of a fun factoid. Let's see. So it went back out to Hawaii, to California for the 2013, and then it ended up going to Australia for a year, and then it's been in Japan now for a couple of years, and all of that has stories that can just go on, and what's been happening with it. But it's a real-world learning experience. You know, I think it was Mrs. Medbecky who coined the research through art experience, or research through art. It was just the way that was put together. Yeah, it's research through art, and there's different, you know, there's interdisciplinary stuff going on. I have another page with that. Connections to everyday life, communication with various audience, exchange of ideas and feedback. Oh, here we go. So, you know, obvious art connections, science. It's got the chemistry of, you know, so I've become a real nerd about plastic pollution in the water, how plastic photodegrades from the sun, it breaks down into smaller pieces, it absorbs persistent organic pollutants from the water around it. The longer it stays in the water, the more toxic it becomes. It doesn't biodegrade. It's you know, glass is bio-benign. It will be sharp when you first break it, but then it turns into sea glass, which is benign. You know, wood rots, metal rusts away. But plastic becomes more toxic the longer it's in the water, and then it gets into the food chain, and then it works its way up. It bioaccumulates, it biomagnifies, and thus we have a problem, you know, for the primary food source for a quarter of the world's population. So chemistry and biology, earth science, watershed, you know, we start to get into that in 5th and 6th grade, you know, with the land formations and how that all works, and considering how the storm drains. There's natural components of the watershed, and there's also man-made components of the watershed. World languages have become involved. We had a Skype with Dominican Republic when the sea turtle, sea junk had visited there. they still have it. It's very hard to communicate sometimes. For months can go by and we might not hear anything, and then they'll come back with something like, it was almost like a TED Talk, what they put together in the Dominican Republic. One school had all the teachers from the north side of the island at a museum in this really awesome auditorium, and it was all in Spanish, and they had the turtle there, and they had all of their learning done much better than I could ever present it. It was just so fantastic. And so I guess from where I stand, I help to get this stuff out there, and I kind of sit back and watch what people do and what students do with it, and that's, I wouldn't have it any other way. So let's see. Sustained and multifaceted learning opportunities, I hope that makes sense. Additional sculptures. Grade 6 art unit and mixed media collage. I'm getting into that now. Last year it was great. This year it's looking really good too with that, but it does bring in all those science and math components. Talk about, is recycling a solution? Well, if we're, we can draw a chart on the board that shows the production of plastic versus the rate of recycling. Sure, we've doubled what we recycled in the 1970s, but the percentage of recycling has gone down because why? And then the kids respond with, well, if the production has gone up and now we've only done a quarter of what's been produced. So there's mathematical conversations that we can squeeze into art class as everything else is going on. Trash and Fashion is a whole other thing. We did International Festival of Arts and Ideas, which was on the same day as Trash and Fashion this past June down in the New Haven Green. That was really cool. If anybody wants to jump in and help out at any time, I'd be happy to have lots of help. Let's see. And then there's that connection to curriculum and the things that we've been doing, preparing students for, modern, global learning skills. This is just a sampling of it, and I know that this might take a whole other, this could easily take a whole other professional development session on, connecting the curriculum to it, but I'm not sure exactly how much time I have left. I think that might be it. Faulkner's Life Brigade has been great. I serve as the, let's see, what exactly am I? I'm the Environmental Education Committee. I think I might be a chairperson of that. Sometimes Beth goes, sometimes I go, but they've been great, and it's all in that spirit of stewardship for the environment, and I think that's kind of the shift where lighthouses were once this beacon of hope and protection for ocean-faring vessels and life and stuff like that. Now it's sort of switched to, for me, it's kind of a reminder of, okay, we're in charge of taking care of all of this. There's this Stuart B. McKinney Wildlife Refuge that is all part of that Faulkner's Island and the historical lighthouse commissioned by Thomas Jefferson in 1801. I hope I got that right. It's something that it's really unique and special to this community, and I'm happy to be part of that, and hopefully, make more connections that way for people who might not be aware that we have such a treasure just 3 miles off the coast. So hopefully you get a chance to check out the website. I think that might be it for me today.
Yeah.